All because I happened to save the heir to the Hayes fortune. I found myself forced into an engagement with him. I even gave up my spot at a top university after graduation to become his wife. But after we married, Julian would rather stay at a hotel than so much as glance in my direction. Foolishly, I thought I might win his heart someday. Then 3 years later, my best friend Serena showed up holding a child who looked just like Julian. I caught my breath. That's when it hit me, he wasn't coming home because he was with his mistress. I went to confront him, only to get hit by a truck right outside. Before I died, I made one last phone call, begging him to help me. But I heard him say, "You've been taking Serena's rightful place all these years. It's time you stepped aside. Quit bothering me." When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Julian had his heart attack. Looking at the man collapsed on the ground, I shouted for my best friend Serena in the crowd. Julian's eyes fluttered open in discomfort, his chest heaving. He croaked, "Get lost." Then he froze, finally recognizing the woman in front of him. "Serena? What are you doing here?" He scanned the crowd and spotted me standing in the corner. In my past life, I was the one who rushed over immediately, giving him CPR without hesitation. But the first thing he did when he woke up was push me away, his eyes filled with disgust. In front of everyone, he used all his strength to prop himself up, like he'd just been touched by something he utterly detested. But not anymore. "Julian, thank goodness you're okay." Serena dropped to her knees beside him. When she saw he was awake, she threw her arms around him and burst into tears. Julian gently patted her back to comfort her. Then he let Serena help him to his feet and leave, without so much as a second glance my way. I knew Julian's heart attack had been caused by someone secretly switching his medication. In my past life, he'd figured out who was behind it quickly enough, so there was no need for me to go out of my way to warn him. The emergency had left me drained. Back in the classroom, I collapsed onto my desk to catch my breath. During the break, Julian walked over to my desk and gave me a dismissive look. "Aubrey, what game are you playing now?" I was confused. "What?" Julian sneered coldly. "Deliberately calling Serena to save me in front of everyone? Are you that desperate to push me to her? Or are you trying to make everyone see you as some kind of savior?" My chest tightened. "Think whatever you want. I'm not feeling well." Julian probably thought I was faking it. He smirked. "Playing hard to get now? You've certainly got a lot of tricks up your sleeve." He walked off, and the room filled with whispers and snickers. Everyone in our social circle knew I was head over heels for Julian. My love was both desperate and unshakable. He once said he liked girls with long, soft hair, so I never cut mine. He also mentioned light-colored clothes looked nice on girls, so my closet never saw anything dark again. He preferred quiet, elegant girls, so I turned down friends' invitations and stayed home to diligently study various arts. It was only after the lessons of my previous life that I understood, Serena met all the criteria he mentioned because she was the one he truly liked. No matter how hard I tried, I wasn't even worth a second of his attention. Soon, word spread throughout the grade about Serena saving Julian and his taunts during the break. During the last class of the afternoon, the dean of students and 2 security guards entered the classroom. "Aubrey Miller, please come with us for questioning." The whole class turned to look at me. I pushed myself up from my desk. "Questioning about what?" The dean looked serious. "You were the first to discover Julian Hayes' condition. His parents have asked the school to conduct a thorough investigation and rule out all possibilities." I froze. Julian suspected me? I was clearly trying to help him. "That's exactly what we need to clarify," the dean said, his tone leaving no room for argument. They led me to a dusty storage room behind the gym, filled with old equipment. "You'll need to stay here temporarily until the investigation is complete. This is Mr. Hayes' request." "You can't do this." I tried to break free, but I was weak from fever. The security guards pushed me into the storage room and locked the door. "Mr. Hayes will take responsibility. You'll be released once the investigation clears you." The room was thick with dust. I slid down the wall to the floor, dizzy and disoriented. I don't know how long I was locked in there. Darkness fell. Before I completely lost consciousness, I vaguely heard the lock click, and then a pair of arms lifted me. The smell of sterilization and antiseptic stung my nose before I even opened my eyes. The distinct, rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor told me I wasn't in the dusty storage room anymore. "She's awake." A deep, unfamiliar voice resonated from the chair beside the bed. I blinked, my vision blurry. Slowly, the room came into focus. Standing by the window, silhouetted against the morning light, was a tall figure. It wasn't Julian. This man had broader shoulders and an aura of sharp, dangerous calm. As my eyes adjusted, I recognized him. Elias Thorne. The Thorne family was the only clan in the city that rivaled the Hayes in wealth, though they operated in the shadows. Elias was known for being ruthless in business and utterly indifferent to social pleasantries. "Water," I rasped. Elias moved instantly, pouring a glass and holding the straw to my lips. His movements were surprisingly gentle for a man rumored to have ice in his veins. "You had a fever of 103, he said, setting the glass down. "Severe dehydration. If the janitor hadn't done his rounds early, or if I hadn't been walking by." He let the sentence hang. "Why were you locked in a gym storage room, Ms. Miller?" I tried to sit up, but my head spun. Julian, he thought I hurt him. He wanted me investigated. Elias's dark eyebrows pulled together. Hayes locked a sick girl in a storage room over a suspicion? He's more of a fool than I thought. Before I could answer, the door slammed open. Speak of the devil. Julian strode in, looking impeccable in a gray suit, with Serena trailing behind him like a timid shadow. When Julian saw Elias, his step faltered, his expression hardening. Thorn, Julian spat. What are you doing here? Saving the person you discarded, Elias replied coolly, crossing his arms. I found her unconscious. I brought her here. Someone had to act like a human being. Julian's jaw clenched. He turned his glare on me. So, this is your new tactic? Hooking up with my business rival to make me jealous? You really have no bottom line, Aubrey. In my past life, I would have cried. I would have ripped the 4 out of my arm to beg for his forgiveness, to explain that I didn't know Elias, that it was a misunderstanding. But now, looking at Julian's sneering face, the same face that had looked at me with disgust as I died under the wheels of a truck, I felt nothing but a cold, hollow exhaustion. Get out, I said hoarsely. The room went silent. Julian looked stunned. What? I said, get out, I repeated, my voice gaining a fraction more strength. And take your girlfriend with you. I'm tired. Girlfriend? Serena squeaked, feigning shock. Aubrey, don't misunderstand. I was just worried about Julian. Drop the act, Serena, I cut her off. I looked at Julian. You wanted an investigation? Fine. Check the school security cameras near the water fountains at 10 a.m. yesterday. See who filled your water bottle. It wasn't me. Serena's face drained of color instantly. Julian frowned, looking between us. What are you talking about? The medication tampering, I said, closing my eyes. I saw Serena holding your bottle. I didn't say anything because I thought she was just being a good friend refilling it. But if your meds were swapped, she's the only one who touched it. That's a lie. Serena cried out, gripping Julian's arm. Julian, she's trying to frame me because she's jealous. Julian looked at me with disdain. You really are vicious, Aubrey. Accusing your best friend to clear your own name? Then check the cameras, I said simply. If I'm lying, I'll drop out of school and disappear from your life forever. But if I'm right. I opened my eyes and locked gazes with him. You owe me an apology you can never repay. Fine, Julian scoffed. I'll check. And when you're proven a liar, don't expect the Hayes family to show you any mercy. He stormed out. Serena cast a terrified glance at me before hurrying after him. The room settled back into silence. Did she really do it? Elias asked quietly. Yes, I said. She swapped his heart medication for vitamins. She wanted him to faint so she could play the hero. She just didn't expect a full-blown cardiac arrest. Elias stared at me for a long moment, a strange glint in his eyes. You're different than the rumors say, Aubrey Miller. I hope so, I whispered. The old Aubrey is dead. I was discharged 2 days later. The moment I got home, I went straight to the bathroom. I looked at my reflection. Long, waist-length black hair, Julian's favorite. Pale, pastel cardigan, Julian's preference. I picked up the kitchen shears. Snip. The first lock of hair fell into the sink. It felt like shedding a heavy skin. I didn't stop until my hair was a sharp, chic bob that framed my jawline. I threw all the pastel clothes into a donation bag and dug out the clothes I used to love before I became Julian's shadow, sharp blazers, black turtlenecks, bold reds, and navies. When I walked into school on Monday, the hallway went quiet. I didn't keep my head down. I walked with a spine of steel. I went straight to the administration office. I'd like to reinstate my application for the exchange program at Cambridge, I told the counselor. Mrs. Gable looked surprised. Aubrey? But, you withdrew last week. You said you wanted to stay local for personal reasons. I made a mistake, I said clearly. My future is more important than anything else. Well, she smiled, you're the top student in the year. The spot is yours if you want it. I walked out of the office and nearly collided with Julian. He stopped dead. He stared at my hair, then my dark navy coat. For a second, I saw a flicker of confusion in his eyes, maybe even a hint of attraction, before he masked it with his usual arrogance. What did you do to yourself? He asked, frowning. It's called a haircut, Julian, I said, stepping around him. Wait. He grabbed my arm. I pulled away sharply. Don't touch me. He looked taken aback by my recoil. The security footage, it was corrupted. The files from that morning are missing. I almost laughed. Of course. Serena covered her tracks, or maybe fate just hated me. Convenient, I said. See? You lied, Julian said, though his voice lacked its usual bite. There was no proof Serena did anything. There was no proof I did anything either, I countered. But you locked me in a storage room anyway. Julian hesitated. I was angry. And Serena said she saw you near my bag. And you believe her, naturally. I shifted my backpack. It doesn't matter, Julian. Believe what you want. Marry her for all I care. Just stay away from me. Why are you acting like this? He sounded genuinely frustrated now. You've been chasing me for years. Now that I'm giving you the time of day to discuss this, you're acting cold? Is this still part of the hard-to-get strategy? I looked at him, really looked at him. He was handsome, yes. Rich. Powerful. But underneath, he was just a boy who needed to be the center of the universe. I'm not playing hard to get, Julian, I said calmly. I'm playing hard to forget. I'm done. You're free. Go be with Serena. I walked away. This time, he didn't follow. 3 months passed. I buried myself in books. I reclaimed the top rank in every subject. I didn't speak to Serena, despite her tearful attempts to approach me in the cafeteria to make up. I ignored Julian completely. Instead, I found myself spending time in the library, often running into Elias Thorne. It started with small nods. Then shared tables. Then quiet conversations about economics and literature. Elias was brilliant, sharp-witted, and treated me like an intellectual equal, not an accessory. You're applying to Cambridge, Elias noted one rainy afternoon, glancing at my application forms. Yes. Far away from here. A shame, he murmured, turning a page of his book. The city will be boring without you. You'll survive, I smiled. It was the first time I had genuinely smiled in 2 lifetimes. The calm broke when the invitations for the Hayes annual charity gala went out. My parents, eager to maintain connections, insisted I attend. Julian asked for you specifically, my mother said, oblivious to the war between us. He sent a dress. I opened the box. It was a pale pink, frilly thing. The old Aubrey would have worn it. I left it in the box. On the night of the gala, I wore a dress I bought myself. Emerald green silk, backless, sleek, and sophisticated. I paired it with dark lipstick and silver stilettos. When I entered the ballroom, heads turned. Julian was standing near the champagne tower, Serena clinging to his arm in a white, princess-like gown. When he saw me, he froze mid-sentence. His eyes raked over me, widening. He looked like he'd never seen me before. I grabbed a glass of champagne and moved toward the terrace, intending to hide until I could politely leave. You look dangerous, a voice rumbled near my ear. Elias appeared beside me, looking devastating in a black tuxedo. That's the point, I replied. Care for a dance? We stepped onto the floor. Elias moved with a fluid grace. As we waltzed, I felt eyes burning into my back. Julian was watching. When the music stopped, Julian marched over, abandoning Serena. May I cut in? He didn't wait for an answer, effectively shoving Elias aside to grab my waist. His grip was tight, possessive. You didn't wear the dress I sent, Julian hissed as he spun me around. It wasn't my style, I said coldly. Since when? You used to wear whatever I liked. I used to be an idiot. Aubrey, stop this, Julian's voice dropped, sounding almost desperate. Okay, I admit, maybe I was too harsh about the storage room. But you've made your point. You've ignored me for months. Everyone is talking. Just, come back to normal. Stop hanging around Thorne. He's using you to get to me. Not everything is about you, Julian, I said, trying to pull away. I'm willing to give us a chance, he blurted out. Serena, she's sweet, but she doesn't understand our world. My parents want us to engage. I'm willing to agree. Isn't that what you always wanted? In my past life, I would have died of happiness to hear those words. Now, they made me nauseous. No, I said firmly. I don't want you, Julian. I don't want the engagement. I don't want the misery. You're lying, he sneered, his ego unable to process the rejection. You love me. You're just waiting for me to beg. Suddenly, a screech of feedback from the microphone silenced the room. We all turned to the stage. A projector screen lowered. Serena was standing there, holding the microphone, looking pale and terrified. But she wasn't the one running the show. It was Elias, standing off to the side with a laptop. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias's voice was smooth, amplified over the speakers. We have a special presentation regarding integrity. The screen flickered to life. It wasn't the corrupted school security footage. It was footage from a dashboard camera of a car parked across the street from the school that day. It had a clear view through the classroom window. On screen, the timestamp showed 9:50 a.m. The classroom was empty. Serena walked in. She looked around nervously, opened Julian's bag, took out his pill bottle, dumped the pills into a tissue, and replaced them with white tablets from her pocket. The entire ballroom gasped. Then, the footage cut to the gym storage room. It showed Julian telling the security guards, keep her in there until she admits it. I don't care if she's sick. She needs to learn a lesson. The silence in the room was deafening. Julian released me like I was on fire. He stared at the screen, his face ashen. I stepped back, smoothing my dress. Looks like the files weren't missing after all. Elias just knew where to look. Serena began to sob on stage. I just wanted him to notice me. I didn't mean to hurt him. Julian looked from the screen to Serena, horror dawning on him. He had almost died. And he had tortured the innocent person while coddling his potential murderer. He turned to me, his eyes wide with shock and guilt. Aubrey. Don't, I said, my voice carrying in the silent room. Don't apologize. It's too late. I turned to Elias, who was walking down the steps of the stage. I took his arm. Take me home? Gladly. We walked out, leaving Julian standing amidst the wreckage of his pride, surrounded by whispering elites. The fallout was swift. The Hayes family, embarrassed by the public revelation, quietly sent Serena away. There were no charges pressed, they wanted to avoid a scandal, but she was socially exiled. Julian tried to contact me. He sent flowers, I threw them out. He showed up at my house, I didn't answer. He tried to corner me at school, I walked the other way. I got my acceptance letter to Cambridge. On graduation day, Julian finally managed to catch me alone behind the auditorium. He looked terrible. He had lost weight, and the arrogance was gone, replaced by a haunting hollowness. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking. Aubrey, I remember. I froze. What? I've been having dreams, he whispered, stepping closer. Of a hospital. Of you, dying. A truck. You called me. And I told you to die. He looked at me with terrified eyes. It felt so real. Did that happen? Is that why you hate me? I stared at him. The universe worked in mysterious ways. Perhaps my rebirth had triggered some echo in him. It doesn't matter if it was a dream or reality, Julian, I said softly. Because in this life, you did the exact same thing. You chose her. You hurt me. You didn't believe me. I can change, he begged, reaching for my hand. Please. Don't go to Cambridge. Stay. Let me make it up to you. I love you. I think I've always loved you, I was just too stupid to see it. I looked at his hand, the hand that, in another life, wore a wedding ring while he caressed another woman. You don't love me, Julian, I said, stepping back. You just hate losing. And you finally lost. Aubrey. Goodbye, Julian. I walked around the corner where Elias was waiting with his car. He leaned against the passenger door, holding a single white rose. Not a bouquet. Just one. Ready to go? Elias asked. Ready, I said. As I got into the car, I glanced back one last time. Julian was on his knees in the grass, watching me leave, looking like a man who had held the world in his hands and dropped it just to see if it would break. I closed the car door. The engine purred to life. As we drove away toward the airport, toward England, toward a future I chose for myself, I took a deep breath. The air didn't smell like antiseptic or dust. It smelled like rain and freedom.